Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into the wisdom of Stoicism, a philosophy that emerged in ancient Greece and continues to resonate powerfully in our modern world. The Stoics, with their emphasis on virtue, reason, and living in accordance with nature, offer us profound insights into the human condition. These 5 powerful quotes will help you see life from a new angle, providing you with tools to navigate the complexities of existence and cultivate a life of meaning and resilience. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, stated Marcus Aurelius, and he was not exaggerating. Your mind is a powerful force, the crucible in which your reality is forged. If you allow it to be dominated by negativity, by fear, by resentment, by bitterness, then that is precisely what your life will become, a bleak and barren landscape. But, and this is the good news, the opposite is also true. If you make the conscious decision, the disciplined choice, to focus on the positive, to dwell on thoughts of gratitude, of hope, of possibility, then your life will begin to reflect that transformation. Think about it. What do you focus on most of the time? What kind of internal dialogue occupies your mind? Is it a constant stream of self-criticism, of worry, of dwelling on past failures and future anxieties? Or is it a narrative characterized by self-compassion, by excitement for the future, by a genuine appreciation for the good in your life? The Stoics understood that we cannot always control what happens to us in life, but we can control our responses. We can choose how we interpret events, how we let them affect us. And in that space of choosing our thoughts, we discover the potential for real and lasting happiness. This doesn't mean we should pretend that difficulties don't exist, or adopt some kind of naive optimism. Life is hard, that's a given, but we don't need to make it harder by adding unnecessary suffering through our own negative thought patterns. So take stock of your thoughts, pay attention to the quality of your internal dialogue, and then start making the conscious choice to shift that dialogue towards the positive, towards the constructive. You might be surprised by the transformative effect it has on your life. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality, Seneca wrote centuries ago, and his words remain incredibly relevant today. We are, as human beings, masters of conjuring up worst-case scenarios, of magnifying potential threats, of allowing our fears and anxieties to run rampant in the theater of our minds. We imagine all the things that could go wrong, all the ways in which we might fail, all the pain that we might experience, and in that process, we create a kind of anticipatory suffering that is often far worse than the actual event we dread. Think about a time when you were dreading something, an important presentation, a difficult conversation, a medical procedure. How much of your suffering was actually caused by the event itself, and how much of it was caused by the anxious anticipation, the endless replays of potential negative outcomes in your mind? The Stoics understood that much of our suffering is self-inflicted, born from our tendency to dwell on what might go wrong rather than on what is actually happening in the present moment. They knew that our minds are powerful tools, but like any tool, they can be misused. When we allow our minds to be dominated by fear and anxiety, we give up our power, we become enslaved to our thoughts, and our lives become constricted by the bars of our own making. But there is another way. We can choose to face our fears, to ground ourselves in the present moment, to focus on what we can control, and to let go of the rest. This is not easy, of course. It takes courage to confront our fears, to resist the temptation to retreat into the safety of our anxieties. But the rewards are well worth the effort. When we learn to master our minds, we free ourselves from the tyranny of imagined suffering, and open ourselves up to the possibility of experiencing life more fully and authentically. He who fears death will never do anything worth of a man who is alive, Seneca boldly proclaimed. Now, that might seem like a rather stark statement, but like much of Stoic philosophy, it contains a powerful truth. The fear of death, that deep-seated existential dread that haunts us all, can be a paralyzing force, preventing us from living fully and embracing the opportunities that life presents. Think about it. How many times have you held yourself back from pursuing a dream, from taking a chance, from expressing your true self, all because of the fear of failure, of rejection, of ultimately death itself? The Stoics understood that death is an inevitable part of life, the final chapter in every human story. To live in constant fear of it is to waste the precious time we have been given. This doesn't mean we should become reckless or disregard our own mortality. It simply means that we should acknowledge death's inevitability and use it as a motivator to live more consciously, more authentically, and more courageously. When we accept the reality of our own mortality, we gain a certain clarity. We begin to see what truly matters in life, and we become less concerned with the trivial and the fleeting. The fear of death can be a powerful motivator, but it can also be a source of immense suffering. By facing our mortality with courage and acceptance, we can break free from its grip and live a life that is both meaningful and fulfilling. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor, Seneca wisely observed. In a world obsessed with material possessions, with status, with constantly striving for more, this statement is a powerful antidote to the pervasive discontent that seems to characterize modern life. We are bombarded with messages that tell us we need more to be happy, more money, more possessions, more status, more followers, more likes. And so we chase after these things, believing that they will finally bring us the fulfillment we crave. But the reality is, the more we acquire, the more we often want. Our desires expand to fit the size of our possessions, and we find ourselves trapped on a hedonic treadmill, running and running but never quite reaching a destination that brings lasting satisfaction. The Stoics understood that true wealth lies not in what we possess, but in our ability to be content with what we have. They recognize that happiness is not something that can be found in external things, but rather, it is an internal state of mind. This doesn't mean that we should all embrace poverty or deny ourselves the pleasures of life. It simply means that we should be mindful of our desires, and we should be wary of attaching our happiness to the acquisition of material possessions. True contentment arises from within, from a sense of gratitude for what we have, from a focus on the things that truly matter in life, our relationships, our values, our contributions to the world. When we learn to appreciate the abundance that already exists in our lives, we break free from the endless cycle of craving and find a deeper, more sustainable form of happiness. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength, Marcus Aurelius famously wrote. This quote, perhaps more than any other, encapsulates the essence of Stoic philosophy, the idea that true freedom and strength lie in our ability to control our own thoughts and reactions, regardless of external circumstances. We live in a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable. We are constantly bombarded with stimuli, with demands on our time and attention, with events that are often beyond our control. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, to feel like we're at the mercy of forces larger than ourselves. But the Stoics remind us that we always have a choice. We can choose how we respond to the events of our lives. We can choose whether to react with anger, with frustration, with despair, or whether to respond with calmness, with reason, with acceptance. This doesn't mean that we should suppress our emotions or pretend that difficult situations don't affect us. It simply means that we should strive to create a space between the event itself and our reaction to it. In that space, we can choose a response that is aligned with our values, a response that empowers us rather than diminishes us. This ability to choose our response is where true strength lies. It is the source of our resilience, our ability to navigate the challenges of life with grace and fortitude. When we realize that we have power over our own minds, we tap into an inner strength that cannot be shaken by external events. Thanks for watching. If you found these quotes inspiring, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. Remember, the wisdom of the Stoics is timeless and offers valuable insights into the human condition. These quotes are not just words, but powerful tools for navigating the complexities of life and cultivating a sense of inner peace and resilience. Let us know in the comments which quote resonated with you the most. Perhaps it sparked a new understanding or inspired you to view a challenge from a different perspective. Share your thoughts and let's continue this conversation together.